Welcome back, Troglodytes, to another episode of Trogly's Guitars. Today we have a beautiful Les Paul Standard Plus with a 50s neck. Now the last one that I had of these, I described it as a 60s neck, but there's a stamp in here. It'll tell you if it's a 60s or 50s style neck. Just to be straightforward with everybody, I don't agree with half of what Gibson calls a 50s neck. If I say something's a 50s neck, I mean the thing is massive. So I don't quite agree with the profiling of it, but I'll just advertise it as Gibson advertised it. But this is a sweet 2005 Les Paul Standard. As you can see, it's got a beautiful flame top. I mean, it's quite active and gorgeous in photos and also in person. For the most part, it's original. It's got a few replaced parts. But let's start here. You're going to see there's some writing on here. This one was actually signed by Les Paul himself. It was personalized to Mike, so if your name's Mike, that's pretty cool. And it says, "Keep Rockin', Les Paul." Usually he would sign "Keep Pickin'," but from what I've seen of Les Paul's signatures, that looks legit, but I cannot 100% verify it, but I'm pretty sure it's real. Not that it really adds too much to the value to this guitar. I did try to see if that would come off. I tried erasing the "to Mike" part. I was unsuccessful, but I was able to fade it a little bit, so I think it's sunk into the lacquer. So if you don't like this, don't buy this guitar. Alright, let's take a look at the condition here. These early 2000s Les Pauls are some of my favorites. They've got nice tops and they're great players. As you can see here, you've got some string change wear and scratches. Obviously they look much worse in the direct light than it normally does. I would say the worst part here is a ding right here by the A in Paul. That's a ding in the clear coat. There you can kind of see it. And other than that, you've got some edge wear, but nothing too incredibly bad. The rosewood fretboard on this darkened up really nicely after I oiled it, and that seems to be the case with most of these 2000s Les Pauls, is they have really light boards if you don't treat them, but as soon as you treat them, they darken up nicely. So it's got nice vintage looking inlays on it. The frets show very minor wear, but they're nice and large frets. Onto the top here. The guitar's in pretty good shape. Obviously it's been played. It came to me without a pick guard, but there was one on at one point in time. Now unfortunately I don't have a pick guard bracket to put on this guitar, but I did put a screw in here, and I gave it a pick guard that I had lying around. This is actually from a Les Paul Classic, one of the early ones. It does say 1960 here, but this is not a Les Paul Classic. That's just something I added because I prefer a pick guard. Sure, it's a beautiful top, but I think a Les Paul looks naked without it. Another modification I did to this guitar to kind of make it look more like a 60s burst is I went ahead and added the thumb bleeders, the pointers here, because it makes it look more like a 60 burst. All you'd really have to do is throw like an ABR1 on here and you've got a pretty close look to a 1960 reissue with a nice dark cherry. And being signed by Les Paul, that's a big plus. Let's take a look at the condition here. I mean, there's some very light play wear around the guitar as you're seeing in the light here. A few dings on the sides. But overall, I mean, it's not too incredibly bad. I would say what really pops out to me are the dings kind of in this area. And there's a few here by the bridge and tail piece. And it looks like a rather larger ding right here. There you can see it. And besides that, I mean, just mainly superficial scratches. You might be able to polish some of that out. You have your original Burstbucker 1 and 2 patent applied for pickups, original bridge and tailpiece in good shape, and once again I just added the pick guard back onto it. The holes were already drilled for it because these premium pluses, they came with a pick guard but they weren't installed, so it was installed after the factory. And to be honest, I think they had kind of a weird pick guard on it because this isn't exactly in the right spot drilled wise. You can kind of see that it kind of sits up on the the pickup rings there, so it's not a 100% fit, but it does work. It doesn't move around too much. I mean, even without the pickguard bracket, but you can tap it and it goes down, so that's something you might want to do, just add a pickguard bracket, but I think those are pretty cheap. On to the back of the guitar here, serial number 02735035.5, which makes it a pretty late 2005. You've got some light dings on the top of the headstock here, but no breaks, cracks, or repairs. And just, you know, minor wear and tear. You can see that ding at the top of the headstock there as well. And a few in the, where the volute would be anyways. But overall, the neck, described by Gibson, is 50s. I guess if this is what 50s is to Gibson, that a lot of things that I've been talking about has been 50s. But that's a light ding. I mean, maybe they're talking like 50s rounded. I mean, they're not big chunky baseball bats. And personally, I would say this is kind of more like a medium 60s. But I guess it's just got that roundedness. But, you know, for all future videos, just so you guys know, I don't say 50s unless that neck is absolutely huge. But gorgeous mahogany neck here. As you can see, very light wear and tear, nothing too bad. Now the back of the guitar, I've got a little bit of explaining to do. This happens on some guitars where the wood will dry and finish differently, or they're overly sanded. But the back of this guitar is a little bit concave, like it swoops in very subtly. If you take a look at this photo here, you can kind of see the gap underneath that flat edge there. It's very minor. I mean, you're not going to be able to see it, you know, in this video, but I do want you guys to know about it. I mean, it's not going to cause you any troubles. I think the only trouble it might cause you is this is really hard to get off. I had to use my suction cup pulley to get that off, and getting it back in was a little tight. So it looks like the wood's moved around, but the neck is still good. I mean, it's really a non-issue. I just want you guys to be aware of it. As you can see, some of the finish is kind of chipped. It kind of feels like it just chipped off. Like if you were to pick at this, you could probably pick it all off. But I mean, just tapping it, the finish isn't brittle. But if you've got a belt buckle, that could do some good damage. But as you can see here, you've got lots of belt buckle wear. It's not really showing up as well as I would like, but there you can kind of see it. I mean, it's very lightly into the clear coat. And you've got some light dings on the side. You got the thin binding in the cutaway on this example. And really a gorgeous piece of mahogany for the back. The sides are in some pretty good shape. The only thing I really want to point out is there is a pretty good sized ding into the binding there. As well as I believe on this other side there's a little bit of clear coat missing. That's really showing up. There's also some finish missing towards the bottom here. So I mean, it's a well-worn guitar. I mean, you've got that non-issue with the concaved back. I mean, it's really done doing anything. But overall, this is a very nice looking and playing guitar. I mean, you might not even notice the concaveness of it. But I mean, just look at this top. It really is a beautiful guitar. And now that Les Paul has passed on, this signature is definitely cool to have, but once again, it's not going to raise the value by too much. Take a look under black light. There you can kind of see that chip in the face of the headstock I was talking about, where the clear coat kind of chipped away. And then to the front of the body here. Everything's good on this one. I like the way it black lights. It kind of reminds me of a late 80s prehistoric I had. Sometimes on signatures, people will clear coat over them. It doesn't look like that's the case. I don't know, if you really hate that, you might be able to polish it out good enough that you really don't see much more than a shadow. But don't plan on it, because I tried my best to get that 2 mic part off, just to see if I could advertise it as you could remove it if you wanted to, but I was unsuccessful. Onto the back of the headstock, you can kind of see some of the wear up top where the finish has been worn away. But no breaks, cracks, or repairs, but you do got a good sized ding. I think there's a little ding over here too by the neck. But overall, the neck is in good shape here. Now that I've looked at this under blacklight, I've got a new story for that little chip there. I don't know if you guys just saw it there or not, but otherwise the back of the finish is good besides that area. But if you look really closely, get really intense, you can see there's a sticker shadow there. It looked like it was some type of rectangular sticker, and you can see right there, that sticker must have stuck to the finish, and when they pulled that sticker off, it probably chipped it like that. So that's how that happened. That's why I like black lights, is they give you a little bit better idea of how wear and tear has happened. There you can see that's where your pickguard bracket would be. You've got some light edge wear there. And this side's looking good too. This one's a pretty good weight at 9 pounds 3.6 ounces. This guitar does come with a Gibson hardshell case. When I saw this from the seller and I was buying it, I had a feeling this was a counterfeit Gibson case because this does not look right. I think anybody who's seen a 2000s Gibson case would agree with me that that does not look right. But now that I've gotten it in person, what it feels like to me is somebody has like inked or spray painted this black, and they're like, uh-oh, we covered over the Gibson logo. So I think they just did a stencil of the Gibson logo and they moved it and spray painted that the gold color. And I can say that with confidence because everything else about this is correct. Once you get inside here, it's the correct dark gray interior with the heel support, and it's TKL made. I mean, everything about the inside is correct. I mean, you can see this is a little bit dirty there from strings, but this is all right. I mean, you've got your owner's manual in here, as well as looks like the very bottom of your registry card there. But everything in here is 100%, you know, original 2000s Gibson case. It just looks like the outside was modified for whatever reason. And you've got some stickers on the front, as you're seeing. Nothing on the back, you're good, but just light wear and tear. Looks like a small patch spot there of the Tolex. But overall, a good case. We will be demoing through a Marshall JMP 1C 1-watt tube amplifier. you think you might be interested in owning this gorgeous Les Paul Standard Plus, feel free to contact me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Troglys, Trogoys. You can also check out the listings on eBay and Reverb. Alright, Troglodytes, we'll catch you next time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and take care.